Gang, gang. Gang, gang.
What's cracking, everybody? Hello and welcome back to Game 101 with Mr. Berger. Tonight we're going to be taking another look at this 2.8 elixir cost, free-to-play friendly Hog Cycle deck that I showcased not too long ago in a different video. Now, the idea behind this video is to show you some of the more recent matches that I did that allowed me to push up to a new personal record. And I recently maxed out my Hog Rider. I also leveled up my Fireball, and I think it was the combination of those two things, as well as just grinding out a few matches, that allowed me to set this new personal record. And I was pretty happy with it. You know, of course, it's always a nice feeling when you're able to push a little bit higher than you did before, and I attribute part of it, of course, to the recent change in trophy resets. You know, before, if you were above 4,000 trophies, up to like 4,900 or whatever, you'd be set back down to 4,000. Now it cuts your trophies in half above 4,000. So you're going to eventually go up against a more evened out ladder. And I think now at the end of the season it's finally starting to catch up to that. So I was going up against slightly easier opponents. So definitely slightly advantageous to me in a number of ways. Now what I want to do for this particular video, it's going to be one of those videos where I focus more on the matches themselves and talk about the decision making and the interactions and things like that, rather than go into the overall strategy behind the deck, because I did that in the previous video covering this deck. And of course, if you haven't checked that out already, make sure to do so. It's the 2.8 elixir cost free-to-play Hog Cycle video that I just did not too long ago before this one. Alright, so at this point you can see that I actually lost the left tower, and I know it's really easy to get tilted when you lose a tower. It's really easy to be like, oh dude, I'm gonna lose here, this is not looking good for me, but you gotta try to stay in the game. You never know, you always have an opportunity to turn things around. And having that max level hog is definitely, you know, proving to be really good for me. It's working out great. It just does so much damage. I forgot exactly how much. I'll look it up after this video, but it's like almost 400 damage per swing. It's pretty crazy. So you know, if you're going up against any account that's not maxed out, it just does an insane amount of damage. Now, this opponent also has max hogs. So you can see that what I try to do here is I often try to play defense. I waited for that fireball, put my bats down right after. He zaps the bats. I want to make use of that Mega Minion, so I put the knight in the pocket, and at this point I'm applying a lot of pressure in both lanes there. And you can see that that allows the hog to wail away at the king tower. So I'm thinking, maybe I can go for a 3-crown win here, because he invested a lot of elixir in defending there. My knight's still hitting that tower, and I just got to get a little bit more damage with the fireball. And the ice spirit is actually what finishes off that match right there. So shout out to Impacto, thanks for the good match for the video here. Alright guys, so let's see what I decide to do as an opener in this particular matchup here. Now, as you know, I don't like to open with Hog most of the time. Sometimes I get a little bit aggressive, and I say, alright, whatever, let's just do it. Let's see if that's what I decide to do here. In fact, it very well is. And I decide to put the bats behind him sometimes to provide a little bit of extra support. But at this point I thought, okay, he spent a lot of elixir countering the hog, so I don't need to spend anything else trying to support it, because it might just die. I'll just play defense here. So I use the bats on defense to take out that skeleton army, and it allows the Valkyrie to live a little bit, because she's so buff right now, and she gets a few swings off on the tower, which isn't good for me. You'll notice that I often fireball the zappies in this matchup, especially when they're right next to the tower, because it's an even trade, and then it turns into a positive trade if you get some chip damage off on the tower. You can see that I cleared out his Royal Giant pretty quickly there, and then I send the hog in with the bats. He arrows the bats, which is a negative trade for him, a positive trade for me actually, because the bats only cost 2 and the arrows cost 3, and the hog just absolutely wrecks that left tower there. So at this point I've got one tower down, so I could choose to kind of play heavy defense. I'm not too sure what kind of a deck he's playing. It looks kind of like a new meta control kind of deck. He's got Inferno Tower in there, he's got the Valkyrie in there, he's got Skeleton Army for defense and control, he's got the Zappies for some control element, and it's definitely got the Royal Giant. Of course, that's his major win condition. So it's kind of like a new meta Royal Giant deck, it looks like. I go a little bit of aggressive here and try to push in the right lane, because keep in mind guys, this is a Hog Cycle deck after all. So you don't have too much to answer like really heavy beatdown pushes against you. So you generally want to try to outcycle your opponent, and so sometimes the best thing to do is just continually place things at the bridge, or not necessarily at the bridge, but on offense, place things down before your opponent has enough elixir or time, or doesn't have the answer in hand in order for them to answer whatever you're putting down. You know, cycle back to your hog real quick before they get their cannon or their Inferno Tower or whatever back in hand. And you can see that he has the Royal Giant there. What I'm trying to do is put the bats a little bit below, or the guards a little bit below the Royal Giant, and then keep the knight in front, so that if he puts down any sort of a cleave unit, hopefully the knight will tank it, and then the swarm units won't just instantly die to it. So I try to keep them separated a little bit, because of course he can't put anything further down towards my tower. The only place that he could put them would be a little bit higher up from the Royal Giant, so that's why I put the knight on top there. Now I'm trying to apply a lot of pressure here. I use the fireball a little bit late there. You can see the Valkyrie alone on the right there gets a few swings off on my tower and does a ton of damage, and he's continually getting chip away damage at my tower on the left there with that Royal Giant. But the problem with the Royal Giant is you invest 6 elixir into it, and yes, it gets a good chunk of damage off on the tower, but then it doesn't provide any like counter push. So whatever I use to destroy his Royal Giant is basically going to live and go on to counter push. And he again uses it there rather than defending, and that allows me to get the 3 crown victory, despite the fact that this is a Hog Cycle deck. I was able to get 2-3 crowns in a row here while I was doing this kind of trophy pushing run here. Alright guys, now this particular matchup is against a Mega Knight deck, if I'm not mistaken, and it has Witch in there too. And you're definitely seeing a lot of witches since that buff. But if you're playing challenges or anything, or if you're playing at the really high-end ladder, you'll see a whole ton of royal recruits at this point. And I think the last time that I did a video before the stream, it was like before royal recruits were released. So I hardly have them. I got them unlocked on both accounts, but only at low level, not fully unlocked. So I haven't done any decks or any videos covering them yet. So I will get to that when I get them unlocked, because if you haven't noticed, they're all over the place in the meta right now. Now I actually use my knight to defend against the Mega Knight. It's a really good counter because the Mega Knight shines with his splash damage, so single target tanky units, or single tanky units, do really well to counter him. So the knight soaks up damage really well. Bats provide a little bit of extra DPS. The knight, if you notice, also soaked up the fire spirits there. I use the Hog as a counter push there, and I use the Ice Spirit to support him, which is something I often do. And you see that the Ice Spirit killed all 3 of the Witch's first wave of skeletons, so that got the knight, or the Hog, excuse me, a few more swings for sure. Now I got to defend on the right here. I'm waiting for the Witch to cross. I use the knight there. I use the guards to provide a little bit of support, and I use the bats on the left there to kill that Witch. She did get a little bit of chip damage off on the left tower, but that's okay. I didn't want to invest too much elixir into her too early, because I'm willing to take a little bit of damage there. The right push was a little bit more deadly, or a lot more deadly, so I needed to worry more about that. Now that max level Hog only gets 1 swing that time, really close to getting 2 swings, but not quite. Now these archers are crossing here, and archers do a pretty intense amount of damage if they're unanswered, so I use the knight there to defend against them, and then the knight, being tanky as he is, provides a counter push that my opponent then has to answer. He invests 5 elixir into going up against the Witch, or providing the Witch to go up against the knight rather, and unfortunately, you know, the knight dies there. But not too worried about it. I was just kind of using him on defense. So then again, I use the Mega Minion. You got another like kind of tanky 3-cost unit that takes out support units really well, the Mega Minion and the knight. And then he goes for a heavy push on the left, so of course I have to defend that with the guards and everything else there. Use the knight at the bridge to kill that princess, and then I use the Hog in the right lane while he's distracted in the left there to take out that tower. Now Mega Knight comes down again, and I use the bats to try to take out the Mega Knight with the Mega Minion there. The Mega Minion, being kind of tanky, soaks up the fire spirits, but the archers managed to take her out. So I got the knight there on defense, and look how buff he is at level 13. Like, he just soaks up so much damage. And in the meantime, my opponent's really trying to go for that left tower, so I'm providing a little bit of offense on the right. I'm going for this king tower because I'm thinking, okay, if he's really trying to take out my left tower, then I might be able to go for the 3 crown victory. And at this point, the king tower is actually lower than the princess tower, so I really want to get that 3 crown victory. So I use, what do I use? The Hog, and of course I put the Ice Spirit right in front, and I just go aggressive here with the knight and the bats to distract whatever he has. I'm thinking, okay, maybe Fireball to finish off the tower, but I actually decide to play a little bit of defense against that Witch because I don't want that Witch to connect to my king tower and just do a ton of damage to it, because witches are so strong right now. So I decide I'm going to go heavy offense. I'm going to put the Hog Rider down. I'm going to use an aggressive Fireball to buy some time against that Witch and chip it away at the tower. And then, of course, all I have to do is zap to finish off that tower, because I got that max level zap too. And that, my friends, is GG. Alright, everybody, and here we have it. This is the match that I just did not too long ago that actually got me to my new personal record. And let's see, I want to check what that is actually right now. So let's see, it's on my account here that I have on my phone, so while we're waiting for this to come up here, I'll pull it up on my phone. Now I use bats as an opener to cycle in the back, and I use the Hog Rider on the left there, on the lane that has less bats on it, because he's less likely to counter that. So my current rating on my main account is 43.91, so personal best for me. I know it's nothing great, but it's always a nice feeling to be able to push a little bit further than your personal record. And you know, the only person I want to compare myself to is myself. And of course, if I'm getting better and I see that I'm progressing over time, then I'm definitely happy with myself and with my progress in the game. Now, unfortunately, they didn't quite finish off that Electro Whiz, so I have to use the Zap to finish off the Electro Whiz because I don't want to get too much damage on my right tower. But in the meantime, I was getting a bunch of damage off on the left tower there, on his left tower there. Now I have to answer that scary level 4 Inferno Dragon, and I use the guards because they soak up the damage and their shield will reset the Inferno Dragon's charge, but I should use them a little bit lower so that the Inferno Dragon had a little bit more time to lock onto them and they didn't get out of his range too soon. And unfortunately I used the Knight poorly there, and that almost cost me that tower with the E-barbs there pushing against it. So that's unfortunate, but it's alright, I can come back from that. He's got that max level wizard, and that's pretty scary. I got the Knight coming down to distract that wizard, but unfortunately my Hog Rider dies. I guess it's not really unfortunate because I did take out that left tower. He's got the graveyard in hand, and you can see he's thinking about using it, and there he goes, a little bit early. I got the guards, and guards do a great job of shutting down a graveyard. There's 3 of them, so they can attack multiple skeletons at once, and they've got long range because they got that spear attack rather than, you know, something melee like a goblin or a skeleton, right? So they can actually kill the skeletons before they get within range where the skeletons can attack them. So they work out really well. Now I use the Hog Rider and the Ice Spirit in the right there to try to chip away his right tower. You'll see I often put the bats behind the Hog Rider as kind of some support, because then they have to, you know, invest in zapping the bats, or if they don't, then the bats are going to provide a lot of extra damage for that hog. And a hog with even just 1 or 2 bats supporting it behind it can absolutely wreck a tower really quickly, because the bats have a pretty ridiculous amount of DPS. Now he uses a Naked Graveyard in the left. I stand corrected, he actually sends in the Miner. And I get a little bit scared here because I know he's going to take that left tower. I kind of zap, you know, frantically, thinking, okay, I'm going to finish that off. But it wasn't really necessary because it didn't finish it off in time, and he did take my left tower. Regardless, what I did there is just invest all that extra elixir in the right there, push, take out the right tower, and then play hard defense. I got the Knight, I got the bats, I got the guards, all on defense. I got the Ice Spirit, but there's no need because I was able to defend through that final push there. So guys, that was my video on my matches that got me up to my new personal best. If you have any questions or you want to leave any comments, please do so in the comment section below. Do all the stereotypical YouTube stuff. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, and share. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good night.
Gang gang. Gang gang. Gang 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 gang. Gang gang gang. Yippee yippee gang gang gang. Gang 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 gang.